Well, the time has finally come. Philadelphia reports to training camp tomorrow. We have all of the details, including Nick Sirianni's first press conference where he talked about getting over that crazy Super Bowl loss with his team and what they're going to do at running back. Very interesting who gets the most carries. A lot more happening today. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. What's up, guys? Thomas Mott here. Welcome to the Thomas Mott Show on a Monday. Welcome to training camp, but also welcome to the new studio. I bought a house, first house I've ever owned, and I built myself a YouTube studio in here for the Thomas Mott Show. Still working out some kinks. Gotta get some soundproofing. Microphone's a little echoey. More stuff behind me, but this is the new setup. I wanted to have the cleanest and best setup I possibly could for you guys as we get started with training camp and, of course, everything else happening with the Philadelphia Eagles. We're trying to make this the biggest and best show possible just for you guys. Thumbs up. Hope you like it. Gonna read the comments. Let's begin though with the Eagles starting off at training camp. Here is your official timeline for the first week. It's gonna be light. There's gonna be a lot of just helmets. They're not gonna put the pads on for a while, but they officially report tomorrow. Expect a lot of videos of them having suitcases and bringing pillows and getting checked into their locker rooms and fitted for helmets and so on and so forth. Nothing really on the football field exciting. Your first actual practice though is Wednesday, July 26th, and it is open to the media at 10 a.m. You'll get your first look at Jalen Hurts and the rest of the Eagles actually in 7-on-7s and 11-on-11s and doing a bunch of drills. Nothing is really going to change in terms of training camp this year versus the Sirianni camp last year, but the rest of the schedule, as you guys see on your screen, is very simple. Thursday, closed practice. Friday, open practice. Rest day Saturday. Sunday, open. Monday, closed. Tuesday open, rest day Wednesday. So they go 3 on, 3 off, 2 of which are open to the public, 1 is closed, just like you would go ahead and expect. Now, remember, when you get down to the bottom of this, your first preseason game at Baltimore is Saturday, August 12th. And so while today is Monday, July 24th, we're getting very, very, very close to the very first Philadelphia Eagles preseason game, which we'll obviously do a broadcast of, be live for, and have a bunch of fun. Now, move over here quickly. I do want to mention a lot of pictures coming in of different Eagles this offseason. Who looks slim? Who looks fit? Well, you get your first look at Milton Williams without a shirt on, and he looks pretty darn fit. And of course, you see Kendall Beck saying he's been in the lab. Does it actually mean that he's gotten slimmer or gotten stronger? Who knows? But at least he's coming into training camp looking really, really good. That Eagle defensive line losing, of course, their best defensive tackle, but gaining a couple more. And with the addition of Milton Williams going into, his third year in the National Football League, this could be a big year for the defensive tackle. Love the picture. I think he looks absolutely fantastic. Now, over here to a very interesting athletic article, really a specific blurb from the athletic article that has to do with what Nick Sirianni said, how he tries to get over a Super Bowl hangover. If you look back in previous Super Bowl history, a lot of teams that lose the Super Bowl have some sort of a hangover. Now, it used to be in the early 2000s, you'd have a terrible next year. Nowadays, you can kind of, not have that actual curse. It's like the Madden curse. You're going to have a fine year if you're a good football team, but you still have to get that hump off of your back, that monkey off of your shoulder, and make sure that you're going to show up this year and perform with what might be the best roster in the National Football League. And Zach Berman's tweet here from The Athletic is great. When Sirianni was asked about this, he said he's watched Super Bowl an obsessive number of times. He knows about the history of teams going off Super Bowl losses. He wasn't afraid to address it on day one. And there's a bunch of really interesting quotes here from Nick Sirianni going into this whole thing. But the Athletic article, of course, is a little bit longer, and so you can read it for yourself. But essentially, Nick Sirianni is very aware of what Philadelphia was unable to do at the end of this past season. And the message day one for a team that is basically made up of the entire Super Bowl roster. I know they lost people this offseason, but the roster is still very, very similar. We have work to do. He's become obsessive, trying to rewatch the game multiple times and make sure they do not have a Super Bowl hangover. And that is very good news for Eagle fans, that you have a coach who understands the immense challenge heading into this year, where while the roster is really good and the quarterback is great, it's all on paper right now. You have to put it together. You have to go out and win, 12, 13, hopefully 14 games, win 3 in the postseason, if not more, and get yourself back to a Super Bowl, or every single Eagle fan will consider this year a bust unless they get to a Super Bowl and win it this year. Okay, quickly over here to what Nick Sirianni also said about the running back position when asked about who gets the most carries. Is it Swift? Is it Penny? Will Gainwell get mixed in there? He kind of hinted at running back by committee, although he explained their philosophy. Quote, "I'm okay having a committee. I'm okay with having one guy getting the carries too. I really am. Whatever's working, whatever's going well. We'll say at times we're going to keep, we're going to go here, and then a lot of guys get hot, and we'll roll with him. For example, Kenny in the playoffs a little bit last year. He got more touches than he had gotten because he was running it really well. I'm content with whatever's working and playing the best guys. I love the depth that we have to be able to rotate guys and keep guys fresh. I like when you have a guy that can do it all. I like when you have a guy that can segment it. There's so many different ways to do it," end quote. And so, again, You lose, of course, Miles Sanders, who was supposed to be your bell cow last year. Then towards the end of the year, whether he was injured or not, they did more Kenny Gainwell, which of course Sirianni explains was because they liked what Kenny Gainwell did. It was just that simple. With the committee you have here, it will be hot hand goes first. And the hottest hand will get the most touches week in and week out. And whether that's DeAndre Swift or Rashad Penny or Kenny Gainwell or Boston Scott, whenever they play the Giants twice a year, the hottest hand is going to go ahead and get the rock. There's not going to be a RB1, RB2, RB3. It's really RB4 as a committee, all four of them together, and the four of them could really do some damage this year. I expect the Eagles running game to be better than it was this past season, and it was really good. It was really, really good. Obviously, Jalen Hurts mixing in some RPOs and mixing in some read options creates some really dynamic options for running backs to have holes when people are moving right to follow Jalen Hurts and the running back goes left. But I think this running back group that they built, very similar to the 2017 group, where they have power, where they have speed, and power. They have, catching out of the backfield abilities. It's a better version than the 2017 version, and I think it's going to be a big difference, especially in these harder, later games. We talked about that schedule after the bye. That's where running game is going to be very, very important on the road, cold weather, or at home in cold weather, to make sure that you continue to move the chains and help both the offense and the defensive out by running the football. Over here quickly to CJ Gardner-Johnson. A lot of people following this on Twitter. He had a serious injury, at least what thought to be a serious injury, occur at practice today, carted off the field, and a lot of us were saying, oh my gosh, the former Eagles done for the year on the first day of training camp for the Detroit Lions. However, Field Yates has an update from Detroit saying the MRI on CJ Gardner-Johnson revealed no structural damage to his knee, considered day-to-day at this time. I'm told. Great news for a huge part of Detroit's reshaped secondary after Gardner-Johnson left practice earlier today. So he's going to be just fine. And a lot of people on Twitter, it's a couple of cheap shots being made from Eagle fans because, of course, CJ is taking cheap shots at us. People making fun at him for only getting a one-year contract when Philadelphia offered a multi-year deal. It's all ridiculous. This is the scariest time to be a football fan for any of the 32 teams in the National Football League, because any day, be browsing Twitter, and suddenly your star player you paid a bunch of money for this offseason is done with a knee injury. It will happen. It will happen somewhere. Knock on wood, it doesn't happen here in Philadelphia. Eagles were historically healthy this past season, but you can't make fun of other teams and other players getting hurt, because the same could happen to Philadelphia, and you'll be upset if they were going to do it to you. So just play it safe out there. Obviously, I have no ill will towards CJ Gardner-Johnson. I've said that. I think it's weird, kind of his thought process towards Philadelphia. I want him healthy. I want him back, and I want him to be able to make his money, because he basically signed a one-year prove-it deal with the Detroit Lions versus what he could have done long-term. He thinks he can get more money in the end. Best of luck. We'll go ahead and see what happens. Hey, final quick storyline here. They released the official broadcast partner or duo for the Eagles Week 1 matchup against the New England Patriots. It's Jim Nantz and Tony Romo. So if you love those two, great. You're going to get the afternoon game at Gillette Stadium from these two. If you don't like these two, like my mom absolutely cannot stand Tony Romo, you're probably going to be upset with this news. So take for it as you will. I love Jim Nantz. He's the best, but I also don't like Tony Romo. I think Romo, it gets super annoying and seems a little ill-prepared for some of these broadcasts. He just kind of wings it, just my opinion. I know he's a Cowboy, but I think if he sounded good, I wouldn't care, right? Because he doesn't have to be cheering for the Cowboys on a live broadcast. Even when they do Cowboy games, he's got to be somewhat unbiased. But I'm not a big fan of Tony Romo, but he will be on the call for Philadelphia for their very first opening Week 1 matchup on Tom Brady Day up there at the Gillette Stadium against the New England Patriots. Okay, plenty more stuff happening. It's officially here. Like training camp tomorrow, they report this whole entire week. You're gonna get practice footage. You're gonna get a bunch of stuff going on online. We're gonna have it all here for you guys. Make sure you subscribe if you want all the latest Eagles and NFL training camp news and rumors. It's all going down here. Live shows during the day, possible, or as many as I can. I'm gonna try to. Possible, obviously, multiple Wednesday Link Lives, one this week, maybe later on in the week. We're gonna make sure you guys have wall-to-wall coverage here. That's my promise to you with the new studio of what's going on with the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, again, studio's going to be changing a little bit. Couple of changes here and there. Going to get the audio sounding a little bit better once my soundproofing comes in for the room. But I want to jump on here and say I'm very pumped for this season. Hope you guys enjoy the new studio and hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day.